Being a new mom is hard. We get it.
It's easy to feel alone, but we know that's never how God intended it. So we want to welcome you to the Motherhood.
If you need professional parenting advice, clinically proven data, or study-based evidence, please let us know where to find it. Because here at the Motherhood, we focus on sharing experiences, offering encouragement and understanding, but most importantly, friendship.
We're here to do motherhood together.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Motherhood. I'm Bethany.
And I'm Riley.
And we are glad that you're here today. This is a second part of our what we'll call body image series. So if you have not yet listened to our first episode, it's called Body Image and the Struggle, where Riley and I basically, I like to say, just air out our dirty body image laundry.
It's a good one.
Yeah. We basically just talk about the struggle, how we're not alone in it, a lot of the things that affect how we think about ourselves and our body image. So you might want to go back and watch the first episode, but not that you necessarily have to listen to them in any particular order.
Yeah, like you don't have to have that one. They're not sequential.
Yes. Yes. But if you want to just hear about how you're not alone in the struggle, check that episode out. But for today, we are kind of talking about how our mindset has changed or shifted in terms of our own body image. So this might be a little bit more of like our personal stories and experiences, but we will be pulling in a few other responses that we got on Instagram and just kind of trying to, I guess, have some helpful tips that might help you in shifting your body image mindset as well.
And it's going to show what those new mindsets look like in practice, because Bethany and I have both changed a lot about how we work out, when we work out, eating, all of these things. And again, not that you are working out because your body is not beautiful and should not be loved as it is, but because we, with most people, I feel like, have found that when you implement these strategies, you become your best self and your attitude is different and your energy is different, and we'll get into all that.
Yeah, and I feel like we really want to say at the front of this episode that this is, though it may kind of sound like it, this is not going to be an episode where we're like, oh, you should try this diet plan. You should try this workout plan. It might be very, and I hate to even say diet, but it might be very like nutrition and fitness heavy. We do feel like those are two important aspects of health, but just because those are kind of the specific journeys that we're on, again, we're sharing about what works for us and, more importantly, how those have helped our mindset. So it'll be a little fitness diet heavy, but this is not to be another episode that just says you should try this and you should do this because it worked for me, so it might work for you.
Yeah. And also, I know that you just said that you don't want to use the word diet. Diet is a word that, like, your diet can be candy and Coke and popcorn. Yeah. Like, diet is what you eat. Yeah. But, like, again, going back to society, we've put such a negative connotation on that word, and, like, it literally just means what you eat. Yeah. So
let's just put that out there. Yeah. We're going to say diet, but what we mean is what we eat.
It's not keto. It's not paleo. It's just, It's like when I say my diet is, I'm not on a strict regimen. Yeah. But also, things that we're going to air out first and foremost in the episode. The pollen is pollinating right now, and I'm so, nasally, and just allergies have a hold on me right now, so if I sound funny, because I sound funny in my head, so if it sounds funny through the mic, just know allergies are happening.
It's springtime, people.
In the South, yeah.
I know, I'm just waiting for it to hit me. So anyways, I feel like since we've got all of that kind of out in the air, we'll say one more thing. Make sure you follow us on Instagram if you don't.
Yes.
Like, subscribe, join the community.
Rate 5 stars.
Yes. Share some episodes if you feel so led. Again, we're just trying to reach as many moms as possible and make sure moms specifically, know that they are not alone in these struggles. So I know this episode and the whole mini body image series might be some great ones to share with a friend.
And just in case you haven't heard another episode, to follow us on Instagram. That is at motherhood_moms. The motherhood_moms.
The motherhood_moms. Okay, we're going to move right along now. So
maybe the best way to dive into this, especially for people who may not have heard the episode last week. Just like, in a nutshell, I have never really struggled with body image. I've been very fortunate in that I've just been cool with how, I mean, like, are there things I would like to tweak? Sure. But, you know, like, I've been pretty comfortable. After having Indy, I hit a weight that was my heaviest. And not that I want this to be weight-centered, but with that, I mean, if you're a mom, you know, after the baby is out, you're just soft. And, like, it just doesn't feel the same. And even though I went back down to pre-baby weight, I don't have the pre-baby body. I carry weight differently and all that, and it's kind of affected my confidence, my mood. I've noticed that getting back in the gym, I couldn't do the burpees like I used to be able to, and, like, things have just changed. So I kind of went through, like, a low period there, and I guess the big things that I will then, like, elaborate on later is that I have shifted what I was thinking, and instead of being like, I'm going to get that body back, because I never will. My hips are different. Things have just shifted and will never go back. They can still be toned, healthy versions of my new body, but the old body is gone. Even my mom was like, Riley, you have, like lady curves. Like, because, like, in high school and stuff, like, I was just, like, straight, you know? And so she didn't mean it. Like, it was a compliment. You literally look like a woman and not like this little kid. And so, I mean, it took me 20 years to get there, but hey, here we are. So I just think that, number one, realizing and coming to terms with the fact that, you know what, I am different now. Like, I look different, my body is different, but it's a good thing. That has played a huge role in it. Another huge thing for me was I am a numbers person. I am a person where I don't like for things to not be complete. Like, I'm a perfectionist, and when I see my goal on my Apple Watch not full, like, it makes me feel some type of way. And it's taking a lot to get me to the point where I'm like, you know what? You don't have to fill your rings every day. A 30-minute walk is good movement. If you get outside, you're getting good, like, vitamin D and, like, it is D, right?
Yeah.
I always get C and D
I
mixed
know.
up.
I do the same thing.
Anyways, but whatever that vitamin
Both
is.
of them.
You're getting that. You're getting some sunshine, some fresh air. Like, I'm learning that there are aspects of health that's more than a calorie burn.
Yes.
But it's like the endorphin, the mood boost. All of that has played a huge role in my mindset and how I think about things. And honestly, I get, like, a seasonal depression situation where, like, now that it's the spring, I'm going on walks, I'm wanting to work out, I'm feeling good, but just in the winter, I just have, like, a little bit of, like, a lull. So it's, like, learning that cycle and, like, okay, well, in the winter, what can I do to make me move and to make me happier and stuff like that. And then the last thing, of course, it always comes back to this, is just reminding myself, like, my worth is not in how I look or even, like, how I think. Because I think sometimes I put worth in myself that's false because, like, of silly things. Like, oh, you're not being the best mom today because of X, Y, or Z. And it's like, my worth is not in motherhood either. Like, does that make sense?
It makes sense.
And, like, while you're like, how does that relate to body image? I guess I'm kind of relating it to personal image as a whole, because I, of course, want to be, in my mind, like, body positive to my body, but also, like, to my soul. Like, that's, like, really deep.
I mean,
but,
it's
like,
part of your body and your mind even,
I mean,
you know?
Yeah. So, yeah, like, the whole mental aspect of, like, I am enough and all that, being in my Bible has really helped with that. So
I know you mentioned just now being in your Bible is something that's kind of helped you shift that mindset. What do you think are some other things along the way that have, like, helped you get to where you're currently at right now?
I feel like this is really cliche. I know we mentioned it at the end of the last episode, and the same thing with some of the viewer submissions that we might read. We should read some of those over again because they are very applicable to what we're saying today. But honestly, Indy, like, I think about the relationship with God that I want her to have. I think about the way I want her to feel about her body. I think about the way that I want her to view food. All of these things. And I think, do you know the best way to get her there is to model it? And I don't want to, I say this all the time, I don't just want to talk the talk, I want to walk the walk for her. And I think the best way to let her have healthy habits is to watch me do them.
Yeah.
And how cool is it that not only will that help me get her where I would ideally hope that she would end up, but I get to go there myself.
Yeah.
You know? And, like, I think there's a big, like, I don't want Indy to ever hear me say negative things about me. And I know she will. I'm human. It's going to happen. Yep. But how cool is that moment that I can pull her aside and say, did you hear Mommy?
Yeah.
Mommy just said that about herself, and that's not true. That's not what God says about Mommy, or that's not what, you know what I mean? Like, so then I can also teach her how to correct when she does that, because she's human, and she will do it too. So it all goes back to Indy, and I want for her all of these healthy relationships.
Yeah.
And I have to show her because, like, I mean, you think about, I will never forget, I was over at Bethany's one day, and Archer gets her phone charger and goes to put it in the wall, and she's like, where did
How does he know what to do with
and of course, she stopped him, and it was a safe situation. Like,
it was just a quick shock.
Anyways, but, it just, in that moment, I realized, like, oh my gosh, they really do pick up on every small thing. And there was a TikTok trend where, like, they would give their babies household items, like a razor, and they would put it up to their leg, like, again, with the cap on. Things were done safely. But, like, they pick up on so much. And, like, I think I can tell her the right things, but if I tell her, like, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, you are beautiful, we love your body, we love everything about you, but then I don't do it, she's going to know to tell other people that, but is she then going to go behind closed doors and pick herself apart?
Yeah, and some people learn so much more from, like, watching rather than hearing, you know, like, you could say it and say it and say it, but it might not soak in, but the second she watches you do something or say something, that might soak in instantly, you know?
Yeah, and, like, I know that Mommy is not always going to be her role model, but right now she is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let that happen as long as she will let me let it happen.
And Mommy will still probably always be her first, though, you know.
And best.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. That definitely not. But, like, another thing, too, is, like, I know we have already talked about how we're going to go into diet and exercise. With the exercise, I feel like I've already said basically what I wanted to get across, which is just that it's more about movement now and just longevity, right?
Yeah.
Like, more so, I mean, like, again, would I love to tone up the tummy? Of course. Would I love to sculpt the arms a bit? Sure. But more than anything, like, I have seen people that I know and love become immobile. And, like, I don't want that for me. I want to keep up with her and my grandchildren. And so I feel like when your reasoning is greater than I want to fit in this bikini or I want to have abs, I feel like there's so much more potential. It's like a new level almost.
Yeah.
And then with the food, I've come to terms with the fact that I love soft drinks. It's my kryptonite. Like, you're laughing, but it's because you know. And, I mean, you've seen me say that I'm going to get rid of them and then not. And then, you know, just like, I mean, I'll drink like 2 a day, and it's just not, it's like, it's my vice. Everybody has their thing.
Yeah.
And I've come to realize that I don't even want to cut them out. So that's been a huge thing for me, is like, okay, we're not going to have them in the house. And maybe one day that won't be the case anymore, but for right now, they're not in my house. That doesn't mean that I'm not ever going to have them again. Like, we're going to dinner after we wrap up this recording, and I'm going to order a Coke.
Yeah.
And, like, that's that.
Yeah.
And I found that I can have things that I want, just maybe not every day.
Yeah.
And not in excessive amounts,
Yeah.
you know? Like,
yeah.
And I think that's really cool, you know, to be like, right now my body wants this, and we can have this today, but we don't need to have 2 of these every day.
Yeah.
And the thought of drinking as many Cokes in 1 week as I used to drink in a day, when you think about how much that's cutting back, that's huge.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the progress over the perfection.
Yeah.
And now that I've just talked your ear off.
I mean, that's what I asked you, so I'm super proud of you also for all of the things that you've done.
Not to say I'm perfect. We are going to touch on the end about how, we
we're
are
imperfect.
not.
No.
Well, and that's the thing too. I'm over here well, I've eliminated Coke from my house. Well, guess what? If you come over and there's it.
We'll circle back in a few weeks and let you know how we're still doing. All this to say, this is the journey. Yeah.
Yes.
The journey we are on. And I think both of us currently are very passionate about it. We're very on fire. We're very motivated. But I think but because because we've changed our mindset, but also we found things that are currently working for us right now, and that can look different for everybody.
And when you see progress, it's easy to continue.
Yeah.
So, in a few weeks when things might stall a little bit, we'll see if we're still this optimistic.
Yeah, yeah. And I again just feel like we need to say, and we've said it already, but I know we're talking about diet and exercise, and I think we both feel those are very important things. Again, not by any means have we been perfect at all. What is soft drinks for Riley is wine for me. So all that to say that we feel that those are two very important aspects of our overall health. And like Riley mentioned earlier, coming from a place of loving our body, so we want to treat it well, we want to be healthy, accepting, the way that God created us so intentionally, but being okay with, hey, there are things about my health that I want to improve.
Right.
Like you were just saying, I really want to have some toner arms. I want to have a flatter stomach. And we're shifting that mindset from being because I don't look like this person or because this person has that and I want to look like this person. It's because I want to keep up with my kids. I want to hopefully live longer by being healthier.
It's not wrong to want those things.
To want to change your body.
Yes, you just cannot find your worth.
Yes.
In that, and you can't say that I'm not enough or
if I was just skinnier,
exactly.
Or whatever.
You can be positive about where you're at. You can have a good body image. And still strive to make those changes.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at, I think.
Yeah. I just felt again, it needed to be said and expressed. I don't want this to be another podcast or thing that's you need to be dieting and exercising 5 times a week. That's not what we're trying to say.
Do you want to be body positive?
Yeah.
Then count your macros and go for a walk.
Exactly. There's enough of that out there in the world right now, but I still think because those are important aspects of our health, we do feel you should be active throughout your week, and at least aiming to eat somewhat healthy or balanced.
And not because it's going to change your body, but because it's going to change your mind. And that's in turn going to have really good effects on your overall fitness because when your mind is in the right spot, suddenly going for a walk or doing some kind of maybe a bike ride with your kids or something, that's going to sound more appealing because you've got endorphins.
Yeah, and not to mention I feel I'll get into this a little bit in my story, but not to mention when we're eating better and we are getting those endorphins and working out, it actually makes our brain healthier, so talking about a mindset, if we have a healthy brain and can even not only make our bodies healthier, but our brains and our thoughts and everything healthier too. It all just intertwines. And some of this you might be listening and be this is not new to me. I already knew that, whatever. But for us, it's kind of more and more of a realization, or we're at least realizing more and more how important these ideas and thoughts and whatever are.
And some people need to hear it.
Yeah.
And some people need the reminder.
Yeah.
So
we're here to remind you.
But enough about me. Let's hear your the new mindset that you are now pursuing and how that's changed things for you.
Yes. So I'll do a little recap like you did of just basically, I guess, my journey so far. But if you didn't listen to the first episode, basically, I would say I'm a person who struggled with my body image my whole life. A lot of that for me revolved around my skin, my acne issues, and my weight. I just felt like I was never someone who carried weight well or in the right places, always just my tummy and my double chin. Body positivity. So yeah, I would just say I'm a person who struggled with body image most of my life. I have gone in and out of like workout programs. I've tried some of those crazy fad diets, like intermittent fasting or keto or whatever. Tracked what I ate. Not that that's necessarily a fad diet, but and I was an athlete in high school, so I've always enjoyed like being athletic. I have always enjoyed working out. Not to say that every day I was like super motivated and ready to go, but I would say up until actually the start of this year, I would say that actually up until the start of this year is when finally things started shifting and clicking for me. So when it came around to like, I guess December, after I had my second kid, I fairly soon after started working out, kind of got down on some weight, but then my weight has always fluctuated. I kind of got off of the rails of working out, gained that weight back on. And by the end of last year, I was like, okay, I am tired of my weight fluctuating, and I'm tired of working out for 2 months and then not working out for 2 months, then working out for 2 months, and then
It's like
putting weight back on.
doing and undoing and doing and undoing.
Literally a cycle, and my weight was just always like fluctuating within, I'd say like 15 pounds. So not like huge, whatever. Anyways, so I got to the end of the year and I was like, I am tired of this. I started working out, really just working out, doing a like high intensity workout program, and started to kind of lose weight again and see some results, but was still just like not feeling like I was seeing the results that I wanted to. And kind of as I mentioned earlier, working out has always been easy for me. I'm like, if I had to, I could wake up and work out every day. If that was the only way that I could like lose weight and like get toned, I'm like, easy peasy. I could do that every day. But when it comes to the food, I'm like, I cancel that out because I go and I eat a whole plate of pasta, like 5 servings, literally. So I think that was my biggest problem in my cycle, was that I was doing the exercise, but I wasn't really like fueling my body in the right way, and then I would probably just eat more than I needed to. I've always had a problem with portion control. I have no self-control in general, but yeah, so I think I was just not seeing the results that I wanted, and again, the way I was eating was not just, it was just canceling out all of my hard work working out. And I've tried to be someone, who eats better, and like I tried to pay attention to what I was eating, but I just don't think I realized like how much I was eating. And so at the start of this year, I decided to try to track my macros, which is something I've always wanted to do, but just always thought it was unattainable or something I couldn't do. But I've been doing that for literally just about over a month and a half now, and have really started to see some changes in my body physically, but also just like in my energy and everything too. So what I'm basically getting at is that my mindset now has gone from, I don't know, just a vicious cycle of wanting to see results. I guess I was pretty focused on the number on the scale. I was doing it just more so because I wanted to feel confident in my own skin, which is not a bad reason, but it was mostly just so I could like fit into clothes or wear cute things and not have to suck it in or look good in pictures. And I guess very much, very much like physically about what I looked like. And then when I started like tracking my macros and everything, and started working out and found a program that I really loved and wanted to keep up with, and could like see how I was getting stronger and those sorts of things, it really shifted to, I want to fuel my body so that I can, like Riley kind of said, like keep up with my children. I can stay active for them. I'm not going to be like lethargic and lazy and tired all the time. I want to have the energy to, even just the energy to like parent them and do it well. And I want to be around for a long time, hopefully. I know we're not necessarily in control of that, but like it's more so about longevity for me now too.
Do the things you can in your control.
It is now, my mindset is now setting myself up for the future than it is like trying to feel skinny the next morning. Literally, like that instant gratification. It's like, I just want to wake up and feel skinny. But now it's, I want to set myself up for a better, greater life. When I'm a grandma, I want to still be able to keep up with my grandkids. You know, like when my kids are older and having their own babies or whatever it is, you know, I want to be healthy, and I'll even add, like, I want to be confident in myself even then. You know, so my mindset for me really has just shifted to setting myself up better for the future. And I'll say just a few more things, kind of like what you said earlier. It's like once you have that one shift, or like realizing now how great I feel with what I'm doing and what's just working for me right now, I have started prioritizing so much more in my life about my health. So I'm keeping up with my skincare routine. I'm starting to do some things to, you know, again, not that this goes back to physical, but I'm like putting on my like what's youthful skin moisturizer or whatever. You know, I've kept up with a skincare routine for more than a month for like the first time in my life. I have been, it's silly, but I've been like brushing and flossing more consistently. I made myself a dentist appointment, which I haven't done in years, I'll be quite honest. But like, it's like I'm now prioritizing so much more in my life because my mindset is set yourself up for the future and your future self and future family. I'm like, I don't want to get older and have dentures. So I'm like, I need to start taking care of myself, you know. Yeah, that was very long-winded, but my mindset has gone from like the instant gratification to just look good in what you're wearing or look good today to set your health up for the future, for the next generations, for your kids, for your family. And that has changed everything for me personally. It's a different motivation. And might I add, just like the fact that my son, we have a home gym. So like the fact that my son gets to see me work out every day, I want him, well, and my daughter, but I want them to grow up like seeing that and knowing that and thinking that's a normal part of life, because, you know, I hope that they'll just make activity a priority in their life too. So I think it's just great that my kids, you know, hopefully if I keep up with this consistency, which so far so good, but if they see that consistency in their life, like they're not going to think twice about working out or exercising. And again, I'm not saying you have to do it. You have to be someone who weightlifts every day. Working out looks different for everyone. But I also just think it's awesome that my kids get to see me do that. And again, you're setting that example for them.
I also want to touch on when you said like you found a program that you loved and wanted to keep up with. I feel like something we hear all the time is do what you love.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest. I hate working out.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of funny. Bethany has recently shown me this, and she's new to it too, but this idea basically of cycle syncing. Oh, yeah. And it's so funny. Listen, we're still on this walk, people.
This is like, this journey we're like a week into, but...
Yeah, with the cycle syncing. But, like, what it sounds like is you get your girlfriends together and you get your cycles in sync. Yeah. And that's not what it means. But I've had similar thoughts where I'm like, I hate working out. And then one day I wake up and I'm like, I want to go run a 5K. Yeah. And then the next day I'm like, I am never getting off this couch.
Yep.
But it turns out there are naturally parts of our cycle that, like...
influence those feelings and thoughts.
So, first of all, several points that I wanted to make with that. Number one, if you don't love exercise, that's something that I'm still coming to terms with. I don't have to go lift weights. My walks are just fine.
Yeah.
Your movement can be a silly workout dance video.
Dance, Zumba,
it could be a dance party with your kids. It could be a stretch. Like, I'm learning that there is so much more than lifting weights.
Yeah.
And if you love to lift weights, that's wonderful. I don't love it. So I'm finding other things like Pilates. I love Pilates.
I did my first Pilates workout today. It was hard. It was probably harder than some of the weightlifting things I've done.
But does it not make you like want to sit there and be like, ooh, I'm going to get this down the way that she has it down because she looks cool doing that.
But even just like the breathing and everything.
Yeah, it's so much more than you realize. Like I thought it was going to be like yoga. It's not. Yeah. It's different. But so there's that. But also, like, it's okay to, like, you hear, like, listen to your body. And I think, I mean, like, if your body's telling you all day, every day to sit on the couch and eat chips, maybe don't. Maybe override that some. But as a general rule, like, there's typically, we are learning, there's a reason you feel that way. So, like, maybe one day, like, for me, that's the way I am. Like, one day, my form of movement is literally going to be a yoga flow stretch in the floor because I don't want to get out of my pajamas.
Yeah.
And one day it's going to look like, oh my gosh, I'm going to run until I physically can't anymore. And I'm going to go bust out a run. It's all different. It all depends on how you feel and what you like. And so also, like, I just be like, don't get super discouraged if you don't like to work out or, you know, like.
And again, just like Riley said, like, it doesn't have to be you going to the gym. Like, I think what we're just trying to say is that, you know, we feel, and again, I think most people could say activity is important. Like, being mobile, not just sitting down all day. Like, if it's a 30-minute walk, or even if it's 20 minutes or 10 minutes, because that's all you can do, we're just trying to say that we feel that activity in itself is important.
Like, I even remember when I was teaching still, I would literally, because the teacher bathrooms were like actual doors, it wasn't stalls. Every time I go to the bathroom, which wasn't often, I mean, I was a teacher, but I would do 25 squats. And it seems so silly, but number one, it got my blood flowing. Number two, by the end of the day, I mean, I probably had 100 squats.
It's like just being active when you can, you know?
And,
like,
you know, I understand too, especially if you have a little one. It's hard. So just little things, like doing a couple squats when you go to the bathroom, that's movement.
Yeah.
You know, that's all I got.
You know, things like that, though. And, I mean, that makes a good point. Like, I maybe briefly mentioned, we have a gym, quotation marks, in our garage, and I work from home. So it's easy for me to wake up early in the morning, work out, shower, and then walk into my office, which is in my kitchen, you know. And so that's doable for me. But there have been seasons where I'm like, there is no way I have time to work out, you know. And Riley and I have talked about so much just in the conversations between us, even about how, like, timing is a thing, you know? Like, I think there are times in life where you can kind of, like, force things to happen in a sense. Like, you can be like, all right, I'm going to force myself to, like, work out 4 or 5 days a week. I'm going to make this happen. But I feel like there are also times in life when, like, you just hit a season where things are now approachable, or, like, this might have not been okay for this season in life, but now I'm in a season where I can make this a priority. So I think it's a balance of, like, you don't always have to force things in a sense, that sometimes there might just be a better timing for certain things, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense, because we were just in a situation where when Bethany started macros, like, part of me was like, oh my gosh, I see what this is doing for her, and I went in on that. But I live in a train car right now. We literally have, like, a small space to prepare food, and the thought of having a scale and everything I need, it's just overwhelming. So while I think that could be for me, it's not in this season, and that's okay.
Yeah. And you're always so good at reminding me, because I'll come to Riley and be like, oh, I just saw this on Instagram or this on TikTok or whatever. And she's always so good at reminding me that what works for one person may not work for you. And I think we want to remind people of that too. Like, just because we're sitting here and talking about, like, Pilates or macro counting, this is what has worked or is helping us on our body image journey, but we're not trying to say that this is what might work for you.
Right.
And just while we're on that topic of macros really quickly, I just want to say that it is more, for me, it's more than just, like, the macros. It is what it has taught me about the way I eat and food in and of itself. So I always had this, like, assumption about macros and macro counting, and I will say all of that has been shattered. But I don't go throughout my day starving. I, in fact, feel like I'm fueling my body so much better. And again,
which also helps with that mindset shift.
Yeah.
Because now it's not like, oh my gosh, like I was saying earlier, it's not about the numbers. It's about learning to fuel your body.
Yes, exactly. I know for me, it's just taught me more mentally about how I eat. So I'll just give an example. One, realizing, like, Josh and I, my husband, we do it together, and we allow ourselves one meal a week where we don't track. We just kind of eat whatever. And for us recently, that was our Easter dinner. And I just, like, ate because I could, and because, like, part of it was because I knew I didn't have to track anything, but knew that I didn't have any limits. So I just ate and ate and ate. And I've always been like, again, I mentioned earlier, I've always had no self-control when it comes to like portions or foods. I'm like, if I'm going to have pizza, I'm going to have like 4 slices.
I'm smiling because I'm right there with you. I binge eat so bad.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's true.
Like when we make brownies, I don't eat a brownie. I take a bite every time I walk to the kitchen. And I'll walk to the kitchen a lot.
I brownie pass.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's always been a struggle for me. But we had that Easter dinner. I was eating because I could eat. I had 5 rolls because I could have 5 rolls, you know. And Josh and I were driving home, and I was like, you know what, Josh? Like, I just didn't even really enjoy that meal. Like, I enjoyed the food. I enjoyed the company. But I was like, I was just eating because I could eat. And I was eating more than I needed to because I could. But when I track a meal, though it might be a little extra work, quotation marks, but for me, that food has more of a purpose. I know what I'm eating because I know it's the protein that fuels my body. It's the carbs that help me stay active. It's the healthy fats that do whatever those do. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, though I knew that Easter dinner still fueled my body, when I'm tracking and knowing what I'm putting into my body, it's almost more enjoyable. And I was so shocked at myself because, again, I'm the kind of person who enjoys eating until I cannot eat anymore.
You know, I have 2 things that the more we talk, the more I realize have a huge role in the mindset shift.
Yeah.
Actually, 3. First of all is the community you surround yourself with. Because I definitely don't think that I would have a positive body image if the women around me didn't.
That's a good point.
And, like, to have you and Sarah and Caitlin, like, all encouraging me, number 1, that's huge. Because, like, it's just like when you try to have somebody work out with you or hold you accountable. Like, there's just power in numbers, and it's like, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Like, if you hang around people who are positive, you're going to be more positive. So, like, number 1, the community.
Yeah, I will just say really quickly, like, a tip or trick might be, like, having somebody to do it with you. Like, honestly, I don't think, like, and not even do exactly what you're doing with you, you know, but, like, I mean, it's helpful that I have Josh doing macros with me, but what's probably even more helpful is having Riley. And there has been times I've just, like, sent her a picture of what I'm eating and, like, oh my gosh, Riley,
just the hype man.
Yeah, no, you know, like, I'm like, can you believe I get to eat this whole plate of pasta and it's in my macros, you know? But having someone even just to, like, share my excitement with, and, like, we're on this journey together. It looks a little different for both of us, but having that, like, not even just accountability, but someone I can just, like, you can air it all out to, like, I'm having trouble, like, I don't feel like eating this today, or, you know, like, I don't feel like working out, or, hey, can you believe I've been working out consistently?
And even a step further, there are days where I will call Bethany I text you. I'll text Bethany and be like, you know, I need you to speak some truth because right now I just feel like mentally, like, I'm bogged down. I feel like no matter how hard I try, I don't feel adequate. I'm not feeling enough in motherhood. I'm not feeling like a good wife. I'm feeling like I'm letting people down. So it's so much more than diet and exercise.
Yeah.
Like, it's having someone with you who is going to be your hype man for all areas of how you view yourself.
Yeah. And if you need that person, welcome to the Motherhood.
Okay.
Message us your hypeness.
Hypeness. Let us hype you up.
What was your second point?
So there were 3, right? If I said 2, there were definitely 3. The second one is education. I feel like the more we are learning about food as fuel, workouts as longevity, like, you know, something to boost you into a longer, more fulfilling life, the more we learn about how our cycles work and why we experience those peaks and valleys of, like, motivation, all of these things make sense. And it is so much easier to keep going when you realize these things. Like, oh, you know what? I am feeling kind of down in the dumps right now, but that's because my hormones have just tanked for the month. And
it's not because I just suck or, like, I'm a loser and I can't do anything right.
You are literally a person functioning as you're supposed to. And, you know, one thing that we've learned about, like, the cycle syncing is, like, women aren't included in a lot of the studies about body composition. And, you know, intermittent fasting is supposed to be great for men. And there's so many things that have been proven on men they assume work for women. But they don't always. And we are, like, everybody's like, oh, they're so complicated. we're not complicated. We're just different.
Yeah.
And the more you learn about yourself, it becomes so much easier to implement these things because it's deeper than this isn't working for me or whatever.
Yeah. And I know that can be kind of a hard thing too sometimes when there's so much out there. Like I know that's where I get overwhelmed. Like it's like, well, how do I know who to trust, what to do, which program, what diet, whatever, but I think just learning that there is a bigger picture, and I think like, again, this might not be news to anyone, but like health is just so multifaceted, especially when you bring in the aspects of like your hormone and us as women and our cycle, and like all of it, just bigger picture makes so much more sense when you look at it as a bigger picture and not just, oh, this person does macros, so I'm going to do it. Or, oh, this person does high intensity cardio, so I'm going to do that and it's going to work for me just like it worked for that person.
And even if you count, let's say that you count your macros and you do a fitness program and you practice daily affirmations and you're in your Bible and you do everything right. If you're running yourself ragged, that's not for you.
Yeah.
You know, like it should be enjoyable. And that's another thing I'm wrestling with is like, you know what? I want to thrive in life, but I also want to enjoy the ride. Mm-hmm. So you have to find that balance too of like what's doable, what's attainable, and what's just what's not serving me right now. You know?
And if it's not something you love doing, you're not going to want to keep up with it. And I think that's one of the points that we want to drive home is that like, again, we are coming, I think, from a place of very much still on a journey, but we are in a spot where we have finally found something that we enjoy and that's clicking for us.
We're
and
excited about it. We want to share it.
Yes. And so, but again, that's not to say that that's going to be what works for you.
It's different for both of us, let alone all of you guys too.
Yeah. We're just kind of sharing. We share about what's working for us more so to share about the mental shifts that it has had.
And how it's making us better moms, better wives, better daughters, better friends, better everything because we've got those endorphins.
Dentist patients.
Yeah.
I'm flossing now.
And as a general rule of thumb, not to be sassy here, but like when you're like, who can I trust? You can trust on the people who are not going to make a buck off of sharing this information with you.
Yeah.
Because in like all these fad diets and workouts, someone's profiting from you.
It's mostly about getting money off of it.
And again, I mean, you're going to see like books and stuff. Like that's different. But you know what I mean? It's a general rule. People who have the right stuff are going to want to offer it to you and help you experience that yourself and not be like, for 5 easy payments, so $49.99.
Yeah, and it comes again, like for us from a place of excitement, you know, like we're just excited about the changes that have been happening, and
it's literally changing our life.
Yeah.
And we want that for all of you guys.
Yeah. And again, that might look different for you, but I think we can all relate in that some of these mindset shifts make like the biggest difference and flow into all other areas of our lives. You said you had a third point.
I do have a third point, and so hopefully this will be a good segue into listener submissions because I know one was very similar to this. One of the submissions said, trying to trust what my husband says.
Yeah, and the question was, do you have ways of bettering or working on your body image?
Yes. And I feel bad for not thinking of this before because I think our husbands are very much a behind-the-scenes person. But when I sit here and think about it, I'm like, you know what? Connor has played a huge role in my body image because there has not been a single day where he has not found me desirable. And when I'm down on myself, he is the first person to be like, and I mean, he's a guy, so he's like, well, that's silly. You look great.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I don't get it.
And I think a lot of times, especially after a baby, you know, we're scared to not be covered up. You know, especially when, like, you're breastfeeding and you still have the smushy stomach. Like, there ain't nothing cute about leaking all over yourself. Yeah, it's not comfortable. Anyways, and, like, not once has he made me feel any kind of way other than, like, beautiful and worthy. And, like, sometimes there's just such beauty and, like, normalcy. Like, he doesn't overhype my body, but he didn't do that before, so it would be weird if he did now.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's, I don't know.
It's just that constant, steady, like,
this person loves you and chooses you, and through this person's eyes, you're a 10.
Yeah. Use a 10, girl. And maybe you're not married or don't have a husband and, you know, like...
You should get one.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
That's why you should get married. No. But we did want to mention a few of the other submissions that we got. Again, the question was, do you have ways of bettering or working on your body image? One person said less social media, especially watching people I don't know, which I am so hype about that one, because how many times is it a person that we don't even know that we're comparing ourselves to?
Yep.
And we don't know what their journey is, and most likely that person has like insecurities themselves too. So it's like, especially when you don't even know the person, you don't know what their life's like, their journey's like, all that sort of stuff.
So huge tip, less social media. And I'm even going to take it one further. Let's say, like, I mean, obviously we run the podcast Instagram account, like we're going to be on social media some.
Yeah.
Maybe just go ahead and just go through that friends list, and if someone is not serving you well, delete them. Like, I joke and say I like Marie Kondo my friends list, but like, for real, sometimes I will see something that not only doesn't spark joy, but it literally makes something happen inside of me that I don't like. Like, it's negative.
Yeah.
Unfollow.
Yep.
Like, same thing with this. If someone makes you feel good, now there's a difference in seeing someone and it motivating you and seeing someone and it crushing you.
Yeah.
And I think at some point you have to step up and be like, I have to stop this because it sends me to a bad place. So.
Yeah. We also got, my workouts aren't just for being physical. It's also about nutrition and mindset. So I think we kind of share in that response too, that it's not just like, one, it might not just be for like strength or like, again, losing weight, but it's about bettering my mindset, making me healthier, those endorphins, which actually give me more energy throughout the day or whatever.
And it's really hard to make that switch. I feel like when you make that mindset switch, things fall into place.
Yeah.
And you get to such a positive place. But it's so hard because I don't know how to tell you to do that. It's almost like you have to actively make it. Like, it's not just like you mindlessly one day wake up and you're like, my perspective has changed.
Yep.
It's a conscious decision you have to make every day.
Yeah. And then I think the last one that we'll mention is someone said, I think of all the cool things my body can do, like make a human. We might have mentioned this one in our first episode, but I know for me, that one was always kind of like hit or miss. Like, you know, I know a lot of people say like, oh, but like your body just created a baby. This actually makes me think of that post I just sent you the other day. It was like a picture of a mom who was pregnant and everyone was like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. Oh, yeah. And then it was like a mom with her postpartum body and everyone was like, ew, gross, whatever.
You
and
haven't
it's
got
like,
the weight back or got back to your weight?
But it's like, it's so true. It's like almost like a double standard of like when we're growing that baby and like probably at a higher weight, I know it's the baby, but like when we're growing the baby and pregnant, we're like beautiful and glowing and gorgeous. But the second we show proof of giving birth to that life, like the stretch marks or the saggy stomach or saggy boobs, whatever, it's gross. But it's like, okay, but when I was growing the life, I was beautiful. So like, why does now giving birth to that life change any, like now all of a sudden it's gross when I show signs of
it's
giving
almost
birth.
like when you hear thinking of all the cool things my body can do, like make a human.
Yeah.
It depends on how it's being said, because you're right, people have definitely been like, almost like if they agree with you or like they're just trying to make you feel better, it's like, but think about what your body can do.
Yeah, it's like, oh, but you just had a baby.
However, that same thought can be so empowering to be like, I just made a human.
Yeah. It almost can sometimes feel like it just bypasses your feelings.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, but like you had a baby, so it's fine. Or...
But if you see it as like oh my gosh, I can make a whole person.
Yeah,
I can get out here and run this mile.
Yeah.
I can. So it's the mindset with it.
Yeah,
you know?
That's what I was going to say is like, again, like I wouldn't say that that's like a thought that's helped me in the past. Like, you know, like I'm like, I might feel insecure about my body. And then some people will be like, but think like you can create life. Like you shouldn't feel insecure. Like look at what your body can do. Because I'll just kind of go back to like, okay, so why can't my body like get this six pack real quick? You know?
It's like in one way, it's like justifying why you look away.
Yeah.
And in the other way, it's like affirming like, no, girl, you can do
yeah.
big, meaningful things.
Well, that's what I was going to say is like now it helps me in that now I'm like, you're right. I can grow life and I can birth life. And now I can stay consistent in being active. I can lift those heavy weights. I can say no to that third slice of pizza.
Not because I need to or because it's bad for my body to not, but because I am just this willing, able, determined.
Because I can. I have the power to say no. I don't know. Yeah. So let's think of a way to like wrap this up for our listeners. Maybe just a few quick like bullet points so that.
Love that idea.
I feel like we said a lot. There's been a lot that's been said. So
can you tell that like, we like don't totally map out our
I know. And honestly,
podcast?
we could probably go for like another 30 minutes talking about this.
But the point is for it to be like an organic conversation between us. And this is how they happen.
And tangents happen organically.
So how can you improve your mindset? Quick list.
What would be like maybe your top 3 in your experience? Like your top 3 ways to change your mindset.
Find your worth through God, not social media.
Okay, that's like number 1 given.
Okay, so it doesn't count as one of my
That
3?
doesn't count. Okay. And I forgot to mention that too, but yes.
Ditto. But I mean, like, but for real.
Yes.
Like, okay, so that's 1. So we'll have 7 total.
Mm-hmm.
So first I would say, like, think about your why, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like for me it's indie, but obviously that's not going to be the case for everybody. Mm-hmm. I feel like I wasn't able to make that shift until I had a greater reason, and it wasn't about looking a certain way. It was about being a person I wanted my daughter to look up to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say my number 1 is close, like probably similar, but yeah, for me, the mindset shift is think of your future self. So it's not just about making it through the next bikini season, like you said, or swimsuit season. Think about bettering yourself in the future and taking care of your future self too.
My number 2, education. That was one that I didn't, when I was thinking about the episode, I never thought of. But sitting here talking, I was like, oh my gosh, when I learned about things, it was so much easier for me because I understood why things happen the way that they do. I understood diet culture, social media, and how that has a huge influence. Like, educate yourself because the more you know, the more success you're going to have, and you'll give yourself grace when you need it. And yes, just education.
Totally agree. I guess my number 2 would be, I feel like this is cliche, but like finding something that you enjoy doing and works for you. So again, that might not be macros and weightlifting, but it might be just tracking your food to get an idea of what you're eating, or, doing yoga or Pilates, or just going for walks 3 times a week, whatever. Find something that you love doing that you could keep up with consistently if you want to.
And then my 3rd, and there's a variety of ways you can do this, but it's really just about not letting your worth be there. Like maybe whether that be going to a friend, going to your spouse, going to the Bible, like know that your worth is not in your physical image. And like even do like some affirmations or just do something to get yourself in a good headspace, because that's been a huge thing. It's like knowing how to get out of my ruts.
Yeah.
Or not living in my rut, I guess.
I guess I don't really know what this point is, but my 3rd one would maybe be something similar, just in that like maybe like invest in your mind too.
Oh, that's
is how
good,
you change your mindset. Just that like,
that's a prettier way of what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, it's just a lot of it can flow just from the way you're thinking about things. And again, I think that making some healthy changes in your life will better your brain.
And not letting lies live there.
Yeah. So when you have kind of the healthier mind, just don't forget to invest in your mind too. It's not just about your physical body in that image, but about your brain space too.
Yep. And if you guys are more interested in any of these topics, we could do an episode on macros. We could do an episode on practical ways to move your body as a mom. We could talk about stopping bad thoughts and switching those for good ones. Just let us know if there's anything else you would like to learn more about. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at @themotherhood_moms, and we will catch you guys in the next one.
Love y'all.
Thanks for taking the time out of your busy day to listen to us, friend. If you felt encouraged by what you heard, please consider giving us a review wherever you listen to your podcast. Unless you hated it, because like your mom always said, if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say anything at all.
And to officially join the Motherhood, follow us on Instagram at @themotherhood_moms. We always have ways to interact and we want to hear from you. Have a great week.